Spoilers for new chapter of One Piece, chapter 1178. The chapter starts off with Luffy giving back Usopp and Brook to the rest of the Straw Hats so they could get back into the fight with Imu. Luffy's telling Franky that right now things are getting a little crazy, but they still got shit handled. As they're fighting Imu is telling them about the situation that he's referring to, that Loki is obviously showing signs of what was going on back in those times that Imu's talking about. Whether it was in the Florian Triangle times, where we see it in current One Piece timeline, or in a previous one. But we're seeing that Luffy and Loki are both already angry as fuck, and Loki's mad because it's hard to hit Imu because she's so small compared to him, and Luffy's mad because of his crews being hurt, obviously. So they're both dealing with this angerness, and we're seeing that Luffy is still being goofy though. I think the reason why Domi Reversi didn't work on Loki and Luffy isn't just because it's just because they're Devil Fruit users. I think it's something different, because if you think about it, Imu's probably Domi Reversi Devil Fruit users before, and Imu probably knows they can't do it, or else they probably would have tried it multiple times before and it just didn't work. So it wouldn't make sense for Imu to do it here now unless they knew they could do it potentially. And I've been seeing people say maybe it's because they're awakened. And I don't think that's the case either, because we've seen awakenings aren't just the pinnacle of the Devil Fruit and the user as an equal. When the awakening catches up to the mind and the body catches up, it can easily still get overpowered, like how we see with the Impel Down guards. I feel like what's really the reason why they can't be Domi Reversi is because they're both aligned with their dark devil selves and the bright selves of what they are as a user to the Devil Fruit. But back to the fight, we see that Luffy is hitting Imu with a Dawn Gatling as Loki gets back into his giant form so he can use Ragnar. That attack finishes off the job, so Luffy and Loki's job are done, and then we pan back to Zoro dealing with the rest of the Domi Reversi giants until Chopper just pulls up and un-Domi Reversis all of them, and then that leads Zoro to thinking that Chopper is just a good doctor. We see that the fires are still spreading across Elbaf, and obviously because Loki's been fucking this shit up since he's been released, but we see that Saul and Robin are both at the library and they're trying to figure out what's going on. The Owl definitely took all the books from the library and brought it up to the highest room of Elbaf to protect the books. And as we see, the rest of the Straw Hats are talking. Gillingham is trying to figure out what happened to Imu. Summers is trying to get his head back in one piece because they were split in two, and he's just in pain as the bitches just snap back together. And we see that Luffy's just as an old man again, hungry as fuck, and Loki's not trying to help that nigga. But then we finally see that even after seeing all those little figures of Imu, none of them was his main body. So nobody has fought a main body Imu ever. And this is the first time Imu's about to leave the Holy Land in a long time.